board, and we're going to see what we have here. Okay, so Wilds of Eldraine, Wilds of Eldraine spoilers for August 18th. So this is yesterday. So let's see what we have. Okay, let's get rid of that ad. So we have Asinine Antics. I laughed my ass off when I first saw this card. I saw this get sent to my Discord. And the art alone gave me a chuckle. It reminded me so much of Pinocchio, and also the original Willow movie from the 80s. There's a scene in Willow where the evil witch comes out to greet this grand company of soldiers that have amassed and traveled days on days to defeat this evil witch, and she just casts this mass polymorph spell and turns everyone into pigs. And this art, it just reminds me so much of that. And specifically, if you look at this little donkey in the lower right corner that's still wearing its little jacket, that reminds me specifically of the scene in Pinocchio where the kid drinks the beer and transforms into an ass. And it's just so evocative. It's like this art alone is just, it tells you so much. It tells you, one, this fairy is naughty. This is a bad fairy. It's an evil fairy. It's like typically in fantasy stories, fairies are they're kind. They're like well-bringers. They're the good guys. I'm not seeing this here. I'm seeing malice. It's like specifically, you look at her face. She has no emotion. She has no care about who these people were. All she cares is that they stop annoying her. And so she's turning them all into donkeys so they can't follow her anymore. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, enough rambling about the art. Let's actually see what this card does. So, for 2 colorless and 2 blue, you get a sorcery. This is a mythic rare, by the way. You may cast Asinine Antics as though it had flash if you pay 2 more to cast it. So, you can pay 4 to cast it as a sorcery, or 6 to cast it as an instant. So, fantastic. For each creature your opponents control, create a Cursed Roll token attached to that creature. If you control another roll on it, put that one into the graveyard. Enchanted creature is 1/1. So this basically polymorphs every creature your opponents control. This is not global. This does not have parity. This is just for your opponents. You shrink your entire opponent's board into 1/1s. So that's a powerful effect. Especially if you're playing this in something like red-blue, for example. You transform your opponent's entire board into 1/1s, and then you play that red card. I think it's like End the Festivities. It's just a single red, and it deals 1 damage to every creature on the board. So, boom, that's a board wipe right there out of blue-red. So, yeah. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Or if you're just playing mono blue and you need an extra couple current turns to get the win, and your opponent's getting a little too crazy with the Kool-Aid, you just make everything a 1/1. No big deal. It's done. Game over. Yeah. Solid card. Love it. Love the art especially. Okay, moving on. Archon of the Wild Rose. Okay. I just need to take a moment here. The art in this set is top tier. I mean, look at this. It's like an elk spirit with like a Pegasus wings, as a spectral rider with a pike. It's wearing a garland of roses around its neck. This is just gorgeous art. I would have this framed on my wall behind me right here. I mean, this is gorgeous. I mean, just look at it. I mean, the art alone makes me want this card. Anyways, let's go to the card. 2 colorless, 2 white. Creature, Archon, 4/4, flying. Other creatures you control that are enchanted by auras you control have base power and toughness 4/4 and have flying. Okay, here's a question. Is a roll an aura? If a roll counts as an aura, this could be really, really strong. But if it's just a token that's attached to it, then completely ignore that. So I'm going to need some rules clarity on these roll tokens. If they're just tokens, like I think they are, then completely ignore that. So this is going to be a card that needs a build around to have a whole bunch of auras on the. Yeah. So if you can build a deck around this and around, say, what is her name? It's the knight from Dominaria. I can't remember her name, but she's very focused on auras and equipment. So like it could be a pretty decent build around. Danitha, that's her name. Danitha. Yeah. If you build around this, around Danitha, around other things that care about auras, this could be decent. Because this basically makes creatures you've enchanted into angels. I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. I can definitely see someone trying to do a build around of this. Yeah. Will it be meta? Probably not. But it looks good. I like it. Okay, what else we have? We have Spiteful Hexmage. So this is for a single black. It is a 3/2. When Spiteful Hexmage enters the battlefield, create a cursed roll token attached to another creature you control. If you control another roll on it, put that one in the graveyard. Enchanted creature is 1/1. So this basically, for 1 mana, curses another creature you control. So what this is really going to be played for is as a 1 mana 3/2. Because if you play this turn 1, it's just going to turn itself into a 1/1 creature, which is not good. You don't want that. What you're going to do is you're probably going to play this in decks that like are doing like the rat thing, making a whole bunch of rat tokens. So you don't really care if you cursed roll a rat because it's already a 1/1. If anything, you're actually making it better because you're making it into a frog that can block. I mean, it just makes it a little bit better. So yeah, Spiteful Hexmage can definitely go into the rat deck. And yeah, as is, I can't really think of any other creatures that would like greatly benefit from the Spiteful Hexmage transforming it. Yes, this is just like a drawback for an undercosted creature. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to think about that one. Let's see here. Charming Scoundrel. Oh, interesting. So we now have Samira in Magic. I like it. Charming Scoundrel. For 1 colorless and a red, you get a human rogue. And it says 1/1, haste. When Charming Scoundrel enters the battlefield, choose 1. Create a treasure. Discard a card, then draw a card. So it loots. Or create a treasure token. Or create a wicked roll token attached to target creature you control. Now what is the wicked roll? I think the wicked roll might be the one that gives +1/+1 and causes loss of life if it dies. So I think that's what that one is. I'll have to refresh my memory on that one. Yeah, pretty decent. And it's just 2/1 for or 2 mana for a 1/1 with haste. And it's likely going to be coming into play to create a treasure token or to discard and draw. That's what I think I would be using it for. Immodane, the Pyro Hammer. Now, this is a pretty cool card. I mean, just look at this, like the art. I don't know if her arm is made of stone or made of wood. I'm going to assume stone, because I don't think you'd want a flammable weapon being wielded by a flammable person. So I'm going to assume it's made of stone. So, legendary creature, Human Knight, 4/4 for 4 mana. Okay. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature, Imodain deals that much damage to each opponent. Okay. Okay, this is actually pretty cool. I would probably play this in a prowess deck. A deck that uses like Spearhand and the probably Jaya Ballard, the Planeswalker, or even that battle that transforms into a 4/4 prowess. So like you want to be playing a lot of spells that deal damage. So yeah, is there a sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature, deals damage to that creature? So you're going to cast things like Play with Fire, Strangle, Lightning Bolt, or Lightning Strike, I mean. You're not going to be using things like Brotherhood's End or Burn Down the House. Just single target stuff. So this is pretty decent. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that dinosaur that came out of the last set, which was also a 4/4 for 4, but that one had haste. And that one, whenever it dealt damage to a player, it would also deal that much damage to a battle that a player was defending. So, yeah. Very interesting. I can see this being a good build around. I don't know if it's going to be standard playable, but it's definitely pretty interesting. So, let's look around. Oh my, this guy's cool. Raging Battle Mouse. 1 in a red. Sorry, I gotta laugh at this. For 1 in a red, I mean, it looks like he's screaming as he's coming in. You see these action lines around his mouth. Okay, 2/1 mouse. So bear in mind, this is not a rat. It is a mouse. They're different. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. Okay, I like that. And Celebration. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, it just pumps stuff up. The real thing here is the second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. That's the good stuff. I like that. Okay, cool. Raging Battle Mouse. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this guy. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Redcap Gutter Dweller. That's a hell of a name. For 4 mana, is a Goblin Warrior. So it's a big goblin. 3/3. Menace. When Redcap Gutter Dweller enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 black rat creature tokens with this creature can't block. So, again, we're seeing another red card that cares about rats. So the rat deck will definitely be Rakdos. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Redcap Gutter Dweller and exile the top card of your library. You may play that card. Wow. Okay. This card's really good. It's too bad it costs so much, though. It's like, sacrifice a creature, so he eats a rat at the beginning of the upkeep. He gets a +1/+1 counter. And then you get to look at the top card of your library, which is likely going to be before you play your land for a turn. So if you get a land to exile that way, you just play it. It's pretty good. Or if you get a spell that you care about, Impulse Draw, +1/+1 counter, Menace. It makes 2 rats when it comes into play. It's good. It's just straight up good. It reminds me a lot of Siege Gang from back in the day, because that would come in as a 2/2 and make, I think, like 3 goblin tokens, and it could fling those tokens for damage. This one just eats the tokens, gets bigger, and clobbers you. Yeah, this is a good card. I'm into it. I like it. I'll probably be playing it. Okay, here we have the Rotisserie Elemental. Very whimsical. Love the art. It just looks. It's just this silly little fire sprite that is using its own body heat to cook some food. This is just hilarious. I love him. All right, 1 red mana for a 1/1 elemental. Menace. Whenever Rotisserie Elemental deals combat damage to a player, put a skewer counter on Rotisserie Elemental. then you may sacrifice it. If you do, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of skewer counters on rotisserie elemental. You may play those cards this turn. Okay. This is just something that allows you to dig a little bit deeper into your deck. So it's quasi card draw. Your opponent's very likely not going to be blocking it. So you just pile on a few skewer counters, sacrifice it, and play something better. Yeah, it's not bad. It's red quasi draw is what it is. Knight of the Sweet's Revenge. So I did see this card previously, so full disclosure there. This card is really cool. So for 3 colorless and a green, it's an enchantment. When Knight of Sweet's Revenge enters the battlefield, create a food token. Foods you control have tap, add a green. 5 colorless, 2 green, sacrifice Knight of Sweet's Revenge. Creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of foods you control. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a sweet card. I mean, pun intended here. I mean, this is a sweet card. I mean, the art is very very Hansel and Gretel. It even has a little cottage in the background there. It only costs 4 for this kind of an effect. And it comes in and it creates a food token. So this alone is going to trigger Celebration because the card is an enchantment. That's a permanent. It creates a food token. That's another permanent. So Celebration is triggered right there. Don't have to cast any more spells. But the real strength of this is foods you control have tap, add a grain. I mean, by this time, if you build your deck right, you probably have at least 2 foods on the table before you even cast this. And so, like, that's just 3 more mana that you can just use immediately. Because they're not creatures, so they don't have summoning sickness. And this last part right here, where you sacrifice it to give creatures power and toughness equal to the number of foods you control. I mean, this is just pretty solid. I mean, if I played this, I probably wouldn't even use the sacrifice at the end. I would just use it for ramp, period. Yeah, it's pretty solid. I like it. All right, Hilda's Crown of Winter. So, for 3 mana, you have a legendary artifact. Beautiful art on that too. So it's a rare. 1 and tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate during your turn. Okay, so it's either you pay 1, tap it to tap something, or you get to do it for free on your turn. So that right there, it makes it a strictly better Icy Manipulator. And I think that's what they're going for here, because they're calling it the Crown of Winter. So it's an Icy Manipulator, is what it is. Then we have secondary ability. 3, sacrifice Hilda's Crown of Winter. Draw a card for each tapped creature your opponent controls. Beg your pardon? Your opponent just taps out to attack you. You sacrifice this, and you draw a card for all of them. It's like, if your opponent attacks you with 5 creatures, that's a draw 5. This card is nuts. Yeah, this card is straight up bonkers. I love it. I'm going to be playing 4 of it. Yeah, that's nothing more to say. Nothing more to see here. It's just good. Discerning Financier. So, for 3 mana, you have a Human Noble. For 2/3 on the power and toughness scale, you got an uncommon in the rarity. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a treasure token. Okay, so it's kind of like land tax a little bit. Then 2 and a white, choose another player. That player gains control of target treasure you control, and you draw a card. So he not only generates a ton of treasure tokens for you, but you can also give those tokens to your opponent to draw a card. That's pretty slick. That's really good. Okay, so I'm looking at this again because this effect here, showing white card draw, something that you don't normally see. So I just wanted to notice this over here. Everything here is colorless. Any deck can play this, including white, a deck that usually does not have access to good card draw, unless you add in blue. There are no mana symbols in this. It's all generic. Your opponent just attacks you with everything, and you survive the attack. You just draw a shit ton of cards on your next turn. And oh my god, this does not say sorcery speed. You can just do it anytime. Even like when your opponent attacks you, you just pop it and draw a bunch of cards and potentially draw the answers you need to deal with this attack. This card is busted. Absolutely busted. Yeah. I love it. I love this card. Discerning Financier, pretty decent too in his own right. But this card, seek this card out immediately. This is going to be a player. Okay, moving on. We have Dutiful Griffin. For 3 colorless and 2 white, you have a Griffin at 4/4, flying. 2 colorless and a white. Sacrifice 2 enchantments. Return Dutiful Griffin from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so it's pretty draft chaff, honestly. I mean, it's not that great. You're sacrificing quite a lot to get the effect off. But I can definitely see some decks utilizing this pretty well, especially if we get cards like, say, Femaref Enchantress, a card that says draw a card when an enchantment goes to the graveyard. It's like, that could be pretty good. Yeah. This is definitely a build around. This is not something that you play just willy-nilly. So good art though. Really good art. I love that. I like how the Griffin is kind of like looking up to the handler. Like kind of like your dog will look up to you for approval. I like that. It's very nice. Okay. Oh, it's got flavor text. Let's see. She stayed by her master's side, leaving only to hunt. She would guard him until he woke, however long it took. Ooh, yeah. Okay, that explains all of these wispy lines right here. He's asleep because of that that sleep spell that was cast when Phyrexia tried to invade this realm. Okay, that makes more sense now. That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, kind of sad. Beautiful kind of sadness, though. Okay. Oh, and speaking of, here we are, more of that purple mist. Eerie Interference. 2 and a white, instant. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by creatures to you and creatures you control this turn. All right, this is it. This is what I was looking for. Eerie Interference. This is literally a fog effect. In white, you play it. The turn your opponent decides to go all out on you with Hilda's Crown. And then you pop Hilda's Crown to draw a bunch of cards. There you go. There's the combo right there. You just draw a bunch of cards to find what you need to win the game. We're going to be seeing this quite a lot, definitely. Yeah. Prevent all damage that will be dealt by creatures to you and creatures you control this turn. So it's not going to stop direct damage. It's going to stop creature combat. Okay, that makes sense. The ranks of sleeping knights of Ardenvale filled Ariette's throne room, ready to defend their witch queen with a blind devotion. Next up, we have the Shrouded Shepherd. Ooh, I like that. I like the elk horns. Has like the huntsman's axe. I like this. That art is really nice. Okay, for 1 and a white, is a 2/2 creature. It has an adventure and a black adventure. And it says, Cleave Shadows. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. Okay, it's not bad. Be better if it said -2/-2, but what can you expect? When Shrouded Shepherd enters the battlefield, target creature you control gets +2. Yawn. Gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, not bad. Yeah, it's a. Here's the battle. Okay, yeah. So it can give it to itself, but you're going to want to give it to someone else. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Chancellor of Tales. Another of these evil-looking fairies. Very beautiful art on this, though. It reminds me of Ardenweal from World of Warcraft um, Shadowlands. Yeah, yeah, it looks very similar to like the Queen of Winter. So, anyways, back on track. 3 colorless and a blue. Fairy Advisor, 2/3, flying. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Oh, okay. So it's yeah, yeah. So it's just you find an adventure that looks good, and boom, you just copy it. So we're gonna have to find some adventure spells that have like really good effects. This, if the game goes on long enough, you could use this with that giant that has the draw 4 adventure on it. Could be good. Could be good. So the knight stabbed the troll. The troll threw the knight off the bridge, and they both forgot about the sword. Heat of the moment kind of thing. I can see that. Spellcasting Torrent. Okay, so next up we have 3 colorless and a blue. Spellcasting Torrent. Creature Elemental Wizard. Okay, so we have a Water Wizard. 2/4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a sorcerer role token attached to up to one other target creature you control. Okay, so let's see what this does. If you control another role in that creature, put the one in the graveyard. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature attacks, scry 1. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I wonder if the like a wizard role would give the creature the creature type of sorcerer or wizard. That's interesting. It probably won't. I'm probably reading too deep into this, but it would be pretty cool because then you could play a card like this in like a D&D party style deck, and that could actually do some work for you. Yeah. Threadbind Click. So it's another fairy card. 3 colorless and a blue. And it is a 3/3 with just flying. No big deal. And there you have the adventure here of Rip the Seams. 2 and a white. Instant adventure. Destroy target trap creature. Oh! That's actually pretty good. Yeah. Like on one side, it's just removal, and on the back side, it just becomes a 3/3 creature. Yeah. I like this. This is actually pretty decent. Yeah, I'm not upset by this at all. Let's move on. Wow, look at that art. I'm assuming that's another one of the fairies based off of like the bramble crown that it's wearing. Ego Drain, 1 black. Sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. If you don't control a fairy, exile card. Okay, yeah, it's fairy support. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards a card. If you don't control a fairy, okay. It's a new take on Thoughtseize. Yeah. So you'll likely not play this turn 1 unless you have something in your hand that you want to pitch for it. And you'll more likely play this on, say, like turn 3 or turn 4 after your opponent's whittled their hand down a little bit, and you have the actual fairies on the table to make it so you don't lose the card. Yeah. You've wasted your life. Let's see if I can do any better with it. Oh, I like that. I like that flavor text a lot. That's nice. Okay. So next up we have Fairy Fencing. I did see this card. This card is actually pretty decent. So it's another fairy support card. So it's X and black, instant. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. It gets an additional -3/-3 if you controlled a fairy as you cast this spell. So that means if you control a fairy, you just pay 1 black to do -3/-3 to any creature. Or you say your opponent has a Sheldred on the table, you can remove it for 3 mana by paying 2 into the X. That's a very versatile card. I like that a lot. Like it. Even under the influence of the wicked slumber, Obira, the princess of the High Fae, was still a blade master of unmatched skill. Nice. I like it. Taken by Nightmares. 2 colorless, 2 black. Instant. Exile target creature. If you control an enchantment, scry 2. Okay. It's draft removal. It's kind of like Extinguish from Dominaria. Where you pay extra mana for like a little bit extra effect on removal. So it's not efficient removal, but it's removal with extra effect. So it's not that bad. Dying in your sleep is never peaceful when Ashiok is involved. Ooh, I hate that. I hate the way that sounds. Okay, we have a Saga here. Corvold and the Noble Thief. So create a treasure token. Okay, sorry, I have to explain a little bit more here. It's a saga. It has 3 steps. And these sagas in this set do not have the read-ahead mechanic that we saw in Brothers War. So, Corvold and the Noble Thief. On steps 1 and 2, you create a treasure token. Okay, not bad. So you're kind of like setting things up for later. And 3 is exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. You may play those cards this turn. Cool. Yeah. Exile top 3 cards. Okay, yeah. So you use the treasure tokens to pay for the colored costs if you can't play the colored costs. Because this third part, it just says exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. It does not say you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So that's where the treasure tokens come in. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. It's a little underpowered in my opinion. Picnic Ruiner. Look at the art on this. This guy is crazy. He's carrying the picnic basket. He's got a little ring. He's got a curved sword here that has seen a lot of use. Yeah, pretty cool. These little pies dropping out. Okay, stolen goodies. This is his adventure. Sorcery adventure. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. Okay. That alone is really good, because this is actually the same exact casting cost as Defend the Celestis, which does that same exact ability, but now it's just attached to a creature. Pretty good. Pretty good. That's just power creep right there. Whenever Picnic Ruiner attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Picnic Ruiner gains double strike until... Really? Double strike? Yeah, this is pretty good. Only 2 mana. And 4 mana over here for the sorcery. I mean, this is just a good card. I can definitely see people trying to jam this in Standard. Alright, here we have the 2-headed Hunter. For 4 colorless and a red, you get a 5/4 with Menace. Then the adventure is Twice the Rage. Instant adventure. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, so you give double strike to something. Not bad. So it's not as good as Twinferno, but it's decent because it's attached to a 5/4 Menace. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst version of this that we've ever seen. We'll probably see a bit of this in draft. Standard, probably not, just because we have Twinferno. But yeah, I do like the flavor text though. I point, you club. I like that a lot. Okay, so we have a green knight here. It's called Agatha's Champion, and that must be Agatha's cottage in the background there. So 4 colorless and a green. You get a human knight. It's a 4/4, and it has bargain. Now, bargain is my favorite mechanic for this entire set. It's really fun. It says you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. And bear in mind, the rolls are tokens, so you can sacrifice a roll to pay the bargain cost. Trample. When Agatha's Champion enters the battlefield, if it was bargained, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's like Affectionate Indrik. I forget what set that came out of, but it's an older set. Affectionate Indrik had the same power and toughness, 4/4, and the same casting cost of 5. And this is just a 4/4 trampler that bites something. Well, it doesn't bite it, it fights. for a bargain cost. So honestly, I kind of feel like this is just a direct upgrade to that older card, just because of the fact that you can sacrifice for benefit. Okay, moving on. Oh, this is adorable. Look at that. Armory Mice. 1 and a white. It's a 3/1 with Celebration. So I'm assuming Celebration is going to be most well used in probably Naya or maybe Mardu. Those will be the colors you're going to be want with Celebration. So it is a 3/1 for 2. Celebration. Armory Mice has +0/+2 as long as you again. I really gotta work on my audio here. Anyways. Celebration. Armory Mice has +0/+2 as long as 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Yeah, cool. It's a draft card. It's draft. It's a really cute draft card, though. I'm gonna look at those little guys. They make sure Dwarven Forges are always squeaky clean. Of course they do. Into the Fey Court. Interesting. Okay, so 3 colorless and 2 blue. Sorcery. Draw 3 cards. Create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and this creature can block only creatures with flying. Okay. So, this is a solid draw spell with upside. It's 5 mana, which is usually the amount of test. Hello? There we go. Yeah, it's the usual amount of mana that you pay to draw 3 cards. It just has the added benefit of giving you a fairy. Yeah. It would be a lot better if it was instant speed, but it's not. Anyways, Kellen stepped from his village into a strange world where trees bore jeweled fruit. A regal, inhuman voice rang in his ears. Tell me, brave hero, are you true of heart? Hopeless Nightmare. 1 black mana, enchantment. When Hopeless Nightmare enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. When Hopeless Nightmare is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, scry 2. Okay. And then you have the ability of 2 and a black, sacrifice Hopeless Nightmare. I like this card's design a lot. I mean, not just the art. The art is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. But for only 1 black mana, you force your opponent to discard. Of course, the discard is their choice, but it's right from turn 1. In some cases, this can be better than Duress, because a lot of the times, a turn 1 Duress can whiff and not get the card you want. But they also lose 2 life in the process. And then you can sacrifice it later when you don't need it anymore to scry for 2. I mean, and you go a little bit further back into Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, there's a lot of enchantment-based synergies. So, like, you can really do a lot with this card for only 1 mana. This is pretty solid, honestly. Yeah, not bad. I would probably put this on par, if not better, than Okiba Reckonerid. I mean, it fits into a different style of deck than Okiba Reckonerid. It's really solid. I like it a lot. Alright. Cut In. For 3 colorless and a red. Sorcery. Cut In deals 4 damage to target creature. Create a Young Hero Roll token attached to up to 1 target creature you control. Let's see. If you control another roll on it, put that one to the graveyard. Enchanted creature. Okay. Now, this kind of answers a question for me. I was asking earlier if these tokens are tokens or if they are auras. Because if they are auras, then then you have a lot of extra synergies involved there. Things you can build around. But this says enchanted creature has. So that tells me it's enchanted. So does that mean that these tokens are auras and enchantments and tokens? Yeah, are they all 3? I think they may. Yeah. Anyways, back to the card. Whenever this creature attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Not bad. Yeah. So it can grow to a certain level, and then it stops growing. So it's not bad. It's a pretty decent roll. Pretty decent. I like it. Flick a coin. 2 colors and a red. Instant. Flick a coin. Deals 1 damage to any target. You create a treasure token. Alright, cool. Not bad. Yeah. Make damage, make a token, draw a card. It does a little bit of everything for 3 mana. So, not too bad. It's going to be a little disappointing when you top deck this and it doesn't do 2 damage or 3 damage. But it's a decent setup card because it gives you a treasure token and the card replaces itself, and it's instant speed, so you can do it at end of turn. Yeah, pick off a little guy, maybe do a little bit of face damage. It's not bad. Okay, let's keep going. Brave the Wilds. Ooh, I like this. Yeah, I saw this one earlier. This is a really good card. So, Brave the Wilds. 1 green mana, sorcery. Bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. If the spell is bargained, target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste, and it's still a land. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So yeah, this is a great card. It's kind of like Bushwhack, but a little bit different. So, it gets you a basic land, it goes into your hand, it does not go into play. But you can also make a 3/3 creature to attack with in that same turn if you sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token. Not bad. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Got some Red Riding Hood vibes here too. Got these naughty boys back here. Yeah, looks pretty good. I like it. Okay. Then we have Bramble Familiar. Very cool art here. It's like it's kind of like creating the silhouette of like a raccoon. So 1 in a green, and it has an adventure called Fetch Quest. Hilarious. 5 colors, 2 green, mill 7 cards. Then put a creature, enchantment, or land card from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. Okay, not bad. We've seen effects like that in the past. Nothing to really write home about. Its other side, for only 2 mana, is a 2/2 that taps to add a green. You can tap 1 and a green, tap, discard a card, return Bramble Familiar to its owner's hand. Okay, yeah, so you discard something that maybe you want to reanimate or something like that. It goes back to your hand, and then you use Fetch Quest later on if you want to. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, here's the extended art of Asinine Antics. Still love this card. Here's Werefox Bodyguard. This is pretty cool. So for 1 and 2 white, it's a 2/2 with Flash. When Werefox Bodyguard enters the battlefield, exile up to one other target non-fox creature until Werefox Bodyguard leaves the battlefield. So if you and your opponent are both playing this, you can't eat up the other bodyguard, which kind of sucks. Then it has 1 and a white, sacrifice, you gain 2 life. Yeah, so. Pardon me. Yeah. Yeah, so if you know it's going to die, you can sacrifice it for benefit. Yeah, it's not bad. The art's amazing on this, though. You look at that. So fucking cool. All right, moving on. We have Ingenious Prodigy. So they X blue for a 0/1 creature. It has Skulk and is a human wizard. Ingenious Prodigy enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Ingenious Prodigy has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from it. If you do, draw a card. Okay, so it's basically like a card draw battery. You pay a bunch of mana, make it real big, and then every turn, just take a counter off and draw an extra card. Yeah, easy. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Lord Skitter, Sewer King. Okay, here we are. Here's the rat stuff that I want. 2 colorless and a black. It's a 3/3. Legendary creature, Rat Noble. Hey, buddy. You heard me talking about rats? You want to say hello? So whenever another rat enters the battlefield under your control, so that's rats or rat tokens, exile up to one target card from an opponent's graveyard. Okay, so he eats the opponent's graveyard. That's pretty cool. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. Ooh, I like him a lot. Yeah. So not during upkeep, at the beginning of the combat phase, it just makes another rat. And that rat comes in and triggers the Rat King's ability to eat your opponent's garbage. That's pretty slick. I like that a lot. And it's a 3/3 for 3 mana. It's the same cost as Karamonix. So this style of deck is very likely going to be like a massive swarm style deck. A deck that you probably also want to run a couple copies of Karamonix in, because Karamonix is going to give all these rats Toxic 1. So yeah, I like how this is shaping up. It's pretty nice. Yeah. And not to mention all the other rats, all the ninjutsu rats, all the other guys that have like comes into play effects. Like this is solid. I'm gonna have to craft a few of these when they come out. Good card. Okay. All right. There's a Spiteful Hexmage again. We already saw that. Imodane, Red Cap. Restless Spire. This is something we haven't talked about yet. This is another of those manlands. Restless Spire enters the battlefield tapped. Add a blue or a red. So it's for Izzet colors, and its activation is only 2. It's pretty nice. So for a blue and a red, until end of turn, Restless Spire becomes a 2/1 blue and red elemental creature with, as long as it's your turn, this creature has first strike and it's still a land. So if you can animate it to be an attacker or a blocker, but you're going to want to use it on the attack. Because not only does it get first strike, but also whenever Restless Spire attacks, scry 1. Pretty good. So it's a land that scries for you. It's a land that has first strike. It's a land that is efficient, well costed. I can see this seeing a lot of play. So yeah. Look forward to seeing this guy. Really dope art on that too. Look at that. Like on the blue side, you got like the kind of like a catfish serpent. The red side is like this molten dragon. It's just really cool. I love it. Anyways, moving on. Okay, here's the Enchanting Tales reprints. So we got Omniscience. Some very beautiful art there. Okay, and that is it for day 2. That was a big drop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to finish this recording and we're going to move on after this. So we're going to